Hello everyone! We're going to be doing some Mechanus crafting today. Uh, New setup inside the workshop. First time streaming from in here. So got a little bit more just physical prep work to do, and then we're going to get going on our fun crafty time today. So give me just a couple minutes, and then we're going to get started. All right, I think I've got everything, and if I don't, I'm in my workshop, so I'll have it here. Let's swap over. Hello, hello world. I'm doing this with two cameras, and this is my first time doing it with two cameras, so we're learning today. Hi. If you are new around here, I'm Ashlyn. I'm the Dollar Store DM. What I do primarily is I make terrain, minis, cosplay, everything on a budget because I'm cheap and I also have an ability to pick singular hobbies, so I do a little bit of everything. So today we're going to be building some terrain and mostly scatter terrain for a Mechanus, specifically corrupted Mechanus for my table here. So this is my homebrew campaign that I've been running for a little bit. They finished the first section. I'll talk about it a bit while we're on our little adventure today. That being said, I know that some of my players like to pop into these. If you don't want spoilers for things you might see on the table, you've been warned. It's in the title. You know what you clicked into. Uh, I don't care if you see it. It's okay. You're allowed to be in here. But I'm gonna go ahead and open up my refreshment for today. And a lot of today is gonna be experiment. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but we'll see. We're gonna figure it out together. We'll see how much of my drink I actually drink as well, because I have a tendency to open them and then not do anything with them. But all right, so corrupted Mechanus. Currently, my players in this campaign, they are plane hopping, and specifically they are plane hopping to all the different like outer planes that have all been corrupted by a large entity, an ancient entity that is a kind of manifestation of corruption itself, known as Morpheus. I think that's what I named it. I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm pretty sure I named it Morpheus. But each of the planes has subsequently been corrupted, and they are essentially refugees from these different planes of existence. They are not the best people from these planes, they are the best that is available. Hence, they're level 7 right now. And it's super fun. It's got a lot of Kingdom Hearts vibes, which I love because I played it growing up. And that's totally my vibe. But they just finished in the Feywild. And last session, they made it to Mechanus. And Mechanus is usually all lawful, orderly, all of that sort of stuff. And Corrupted Mechanus is very body horror, assimilate to the organics. Because in my world, all the planes were sundered from each other for about 8,000 years, material plane years, because Feywild magic bullshit. But they're all separated for 8,000 years due to in-game previous campaign shenanigans, and then they were put back together. And during those 8,000 years, they became extremely isolationist, but there were people from across other planes who were there, who were stuck in them. So there were organic beings on Mechanus at the time of when they all came back together. And that's really important because that allowed there to be this assimilation where all of the powerful beings in these different planes started to realize, like, oh, I've got competition now because now we've got these other planes and they've got things that we don't have. And they started getting greedy. And that greedy, like, competition reawoke Malpheus and allowed him to seep in. And the corruption in Mechanus, as the players they've already discovered this, so I'm not giving any spoilers here, essentially resulted in the attempt to utilize organics as a model and a source of material to compete with the organics of other planes. Which means you get a lot of like half machine, half flesh monstrosities, and a lot of bodies being torn apart viciously. The first thing that they encountered was a giant, like, mechanical crab thing with the dead guy hanging from the center of it that does 4 attacks at an average of 43 damage each and a plus 17 to hit, but a movement speed of 20. So you can get away, but you got to be careful of, like, hive mind. I scared them. Is what happened. And so they're going to have to figure out how to deal with this. And I want the world itself to feel wrong. I want there to be a lot of that menace, and so I have to make body horror-y, creepy, scatter terrain that I don't already have. I had a lot for Feywild. I had a full Fey set that I had never used before. So now I get to do, and this is the spoiler alert, if John or Andrew are in here, or Victor, because you're the only ones who would pop into this, look away. So now we get to do body horror, mechanical goo piles of flesh and body parts and fun things like that. So I made a series of these air dry clay and miniature pieces monstrosities, and today is going to be paint day. And in addition, I want to create some sort of like Bacta tank situation thing here. I've had this for years. It's from Dollar Tree. It's just a little simple plastic cloche. I think that's how you say it. But I want to make some sort of like Bacta tank type thing. And another Dollar Tree thing that I've had forever, and I have used this. I've used it as like an ogre type monster in my previous campaign. But it also kind of gives me like organic mechanical vibes. But it fits really nicely right inside there. So I need to figure out a way to make this look like it's filled with some sort of liquid without actually filling it with liquid. Because I want to be able to take this mini in and out. For reasons. Also because I don't know if Dollar Tree sells this one anymore. And I think this might be the only one I have of it. And I like him. He's fun. He makes for a good scary that I can just throw down. So I want him to be able to stand solidly in here. I want there to be a bunch of scatter around. And I want this to be removable and look like there's liquid. And I have a few ideas that I'm going to try and see if it'll work. I'm not sure. I might ruin it, in which case I might also be screwed because I don't know if they sell this anymore. But it's the end of spring and I don't think they'll have it there. But, you know, we'll see. Either way. But we're going to hang out, do some experimental things. I might at some point go and step into the spray booth if we get enough stuff on here. So I think we'll start here, because if I end up doing spray, I might just spray all of these as well. And then if we got lots of time, I've got these cool, like, I printed these guys. Really, they were part of, like, a big bad base thing that got a little warped when I printed it. So they don't really fit together with the pieces that they were supposed to fit with. But that's okay, you know? That's all right. Hello! I know it's been a minute. I have not been streaming for a while. I ran out of spoons. But now, especially because I ran out of spoons because I didn't run my tech before. And now I run my own tech because I have a computer that can run the tech. Yay. So yeah, we're for the first time ever streaming on Twitch in the workshop, doing the workshop things. I'm not on Instagram Live this time, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna have some fun. And yeah, let's get going. What do we want to start with? Oh, I also have this like empty Loctite bottle that kind of just gives me like air tank vibes or something. I don't know. I'm thinking that... Oh, did I plug in my hot glue gun? I did. I was smart this time. It takes too long to fill up. Because I have all of these molds. And what I can do with these molds is I can use mica powder and dust it on the inside. And when you fill it with hot glue, I have a sample one over here. When you fill it with hot glue, you get a little usable thing. Yeah, these things are great. I use this for cosplay a lot because you can put spirit gum on the backs of these, and it's skin safe, and it just hangs out wherever you put it. So I have a I'm blanking on the character name. Sci-fi show has the thing right here. But yeah. I know Mechanus terrain on an anti-budget 40k. Yeah, 40k is anti-budget. We're doing budget. And this is Mechanus, the D&D, like it's not Adeptus Mechanus, it's Mechanus, the plane of existence. Though I know there's a lot of, especially the way I'm doing it, Adeptus Mechanus has some pretty good like tie-in. I have a friend who his Warhammer army is Adeptus Mechanus, and he was like, "Here, you want to use my things, and it's not quite the vibe. It's not horror enough. It's a slightly different sort of horror. But yeah. All right. What do I want to start with? I think this needs some, like, let's make some tubes and things. So I got some straws over here. Make some stuff that adds onto there. I don't have a plan. This is how crafting goes. I need to stop pulling scissors out from there because I have 4 of them hanging literally right here. Ashlyn, get yo shit together with that. Alright. Then I want to lay flat. Yeah. So then that'll end up there. So I'm going to attach these. I'll do it on this side so y'all can actually see what I'm doing there. So like attaching these like this. Yeah. A bunch of like little. Yeah. I like that. I think that'll give a good vibe there. So, handy dandy glue gun. I have pumped what is essentially an industrial level of hot glue into this glue gun. And that's not an exaggeration at this point. I've pumped so much hot glue into this thing that I had to plastic weld it back together. I don't know if you can see quite as well. When I broke the handle after years of use, because I used the crap out of it. It didn't quite land how I wanted it to, but that's okay. Doing Mechanus this way also means that my goblin-y sort of imprecise crafting methods still work. Because it's corrupted. It doesn't need to be perfectly ordered. How sad am I about Joanne's fabrics? I can't sew. I don't buy a lot of things from major crafting outlets. Partly because I don't sew, and partly because I'm cheap. Most of what I craft with is trash. It says dollar store DM, and I do get things from the dollar store, but a lot of what I use is just like leftover bits from other things. So for example, oh no, it's all the way over there. Here's one. My table that this is on is covered in garbage, but my players have already seen all these things, and I'm sure they're expecting these ones to be out. So, there we go. I made this a while back, like a year ago. Just some granny greeting, a like plastic container, and some hot glue. That's it. That's the whole thing. Or this one will not fit on the small, so it's going over here. But this is a shipping container. All I did is I made some squares using a blade. There's more hot glue goop, some granny grating on the cross sections, and then you can't spray paint this because it is styrofoam. So I just did a really, really cheap acrylic paint, black paint, and then a sponge, and made the texture. This is one of my favorite pieces. I love this piece so much. I have two of them because it was both sides of the shipping container. I just need to not lose my little oozy bits. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Super easy. I do need to reglue one of these railings back down. But yeah, most of what I use is stuff that I have just gathered over time, more so than direct stuff I have bought. Gotta say, the straws make a really fun sound when I get them. Let's not put it on one of my flesh. Ah! Stay. There we go. Boop. So my plan is, as we've said that I have been gone a while, plan currently is that I'm going to be streaming crafting content most Tuesdays. Real life happens sometimes, so, you know, that might not always be the case, but that's the plan. So that most Tuesdays I'm going to stream crafting content, and then I might be streaming a run of Pokemon Too Many Types on Thursdays, just because your girl needs some variety. Do I want like an antennae type thing? I've got all these like extra bits. Do I like that? I don't like that. We're not doing that. It does still need a few more. Let's make a really long one. Yeah, I like that. I do still need to figure out, do I want to, I could, because just dyeing it, like, with some alcohol ink would give me, like, a color difference, but it's not going to give me that kind of waviness that I'm looking for. But what I could use, it doesn't dry quite fast enough, though. I also might not have any left. Let's see. I wonder. I have a second thought. Oh, yeah. Not sure I have enough of that. But it's a clear transparent glue. This one is from Dollar Tree. I've used this to make stained glass before, because you can stain it with alcohol ink and it eventually will dry and look a bit like stained glass. But I'm not sure. I feel like it's gonna pool down this way and it's just gonna look runny, and it takes forever to dry. So don't think that's the right way to go with this. I could, maybe this would work. I feel like I need a test piece. There's a bit of plastic I don't care about. There we go, a bit of plastic I don't care about. Ow. This desk doesn't have an underside. Even better. A bit of plastic I really don't care about. Alright. I wonder if this sort of thing would dry looking goopy done on the interior. If that's going to give me a... Not sure it's going to translate well. Oh, you can see it. Let's see. I'll let that dry, because that's kind of the vibe I was going for. And I might be able to color that. And that's going to stay pretty well there. So we'll see how well that dries like that. I do use that sort of like clear nail polish to make things look like saliva-y. So that might work. I'll probably use it on these to give it that like lovely goopy finish. Alright, well while that dries, I'll start paintifying these guys. Where's my black? Black, black, black. Blackest night. Just giant thing of black paint. And I've got another giant thing of black paint up there. I use a lot of cheap Craft Smart black acrylic. This is my go-to. So I, like, when I do cosplay, when I do my foam wings, this is what they are painted with. Because spray paint doesn't always stick to foam, I've learned. And acrylic tends to be relatively flexible, which is nice. I'll probably need more, so I'm not going to worry too much about the lid. Just everyone remind me that that isn't actually closed. Alright. Brush. Close that so I can... I hate that this doesn't have a place for my legs, so I'm just gonna sit like side saddled, like a fancy rider or something. I did kill Snow White for this project. I just had like a bunch of random bits and pieces. So Snow White from Dollar Tree got absorbed into this horrific flesh monstrosity. I like painting terrain because I don't need to be as precise. And you know what? This was red air dry clay, so any bits that are still poking through, it's just part of the thing. Sprue glue. I have not. I'm assuming that's for like, it's different from super glue, probably. Snow White doesn't take paint very nicely. In theory, probably would have been better to spray paint these, but you know, I've already started. We've committed. We commit to the bit here. And that's okay. I have not heard of sprue glue. First coat dry. You take plastic glue in a pot and add a few chunks of random plastic. Oh. Well, that's cool. I have never heard of that. That's really neat. I like that. I love things like that where it's let me use the stuff that's left over. Now I'm not a Warhammer person. It's just not my bag. I have too many other things, too many other hobbies. I need to, somewhat rein myself in. However, I do know people who do have that. And maybe they would collect sprues for me. Because I need another source of garbage in this workshop. I have so much. Black base. Everything turns to shadow. It's corrupted. Right? That's how that works. I'm so used to when I'm, because I haven't filmed while painting or crafting in a while. So I'm very used to just like painting like this. Which is just not the best way to paint. It's not that I need to look at it up close. It's just that I've like automatically T-Rex my arms. Oh, I broke something. Or maybe I didn't. Thought I heard something break. But it seems I was wrong. I'm going to shift this just a little. Shit. There we go. And refocus. Come on. Focus on the thing. I have never heard of Wildspire minis. You can tell I don't get out much when it comes to like actually buying things. There we go. Oh. Missed some over here. I do like how well the air dry clay takes paint. Like, it actually is quite nice. Okay. Now for the big guy. It's funny, I haven't primed with black acrylic in so long. Because I haven't done much with styrofoam recently. And I'm lazy. And I have a rattle can of cheap, kind of on the quirky side. Ooh, I like a quirky mini. She says, making goo piles. It's amazing when you like are sticking a bunch of other things together, how much that like priming layer makes a difference in being like, oh yes, that's what that was supposed to be. I probably should have done more toothpicks out of these things. Could have done like some antennas, but it's all good. lot of the like mini pieces in this are from failed prints that I'll usually keep in case I need to have body parts. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, I usually keep a lot of my fail prints if they fail in a potentially useful manner. We get to the point where I just have to redo where I just stuck my hand, and that's okay. There we go. Crafting. This thing's got a really like tough to get into section up in here. Come on. There we go. Get into that crevice. This is where I go, oh right, this is why I usually use spray paint. Because I can just flip the thing over, shoot paint into that little tiny bit. But you know, we're not using that today. We're making do. Alright, there we go. Fix up the top that I fucked up with my finger. Now let's check on the experiment. That should be dry. Yep. Okay. Okay, I'm not mad about that. It's hard to see in the camera, but it's got a little bit of that texture that I was looking for. Let's see if I can get it to... Yeah. It translates a bit more on here, so it looks kind of liquidy. Okay. That works well enough that I think I'm going to go with that, and I might stain it with alcohol ink. So let's give that a go. We're good. We're at the point of no return now. Where did it go? Here did it go. Do I only have the one? I might only have the one. That should be fine. We start at the bottom and work our way up. Alright. Ooh, that acted different on this. Made it all cloudy. Oh, I don't like that. Ugh. Uh-oh. Shoot. That did not react nicely. Okay. So glad I did that on the front. today's an experimental day. You know, they could be like fog at the bottom of it. That's what I get for doing it there. That's fine. Okay, so that's not gonna work. And we learn. Like I said, this is an experimental one. Yeah, because I want it to look like water. God, that had a completely different reaction. All right. How can I do this? What do I have water effects. How quickly do they... Where are they? Is question one. I think I might have put them in here. No, that's just all... Oh, there it is. Blue Waterscape. I have never used this. Do not shake. Good. Glad I read that before doing things. Create water edge with a continuous speed of white glue. Let dry. Pour it into... Oh no, this is definitely another wet one. So that's not going to work for this. How am I gonna get you to look how I want you to without screwing you up more than I already have? God, I hate that. That makes me mad. Okay. The glue is really what I want to use. Let's see how long it takes to dry. I'll do a test piece on some silicone and see if it's a really thin layer. If it will. Or I'll do it on this. Does it, if I go really, really thin, alright. Doesn't seem to be descending too much. That might work. That might be my solution. And then go back and paint interiorly. Well, I've already screwed this bit up, so let's go from the back. So that might just end up being the front, you know? This is how we pick sides, right? Okay. I should do this with a paintbrush. A crappy paintbrush. Come on. So let's go into my crappy paintbrush supply. Here we go. This is from Dollar Tree. So let's paint on some glue. Especially because I don't have a ton of this. Make sure that I can get the whole thing. Goop it on up in there. that's looking... It's got that kind of distortion you get when you're trying to look through water. Or some, like, viscous, mysterious liquid. Yeah. 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 That's what I was looking for. Bleh. Don't grab your paintbrush with your mouth when you've been sticking it in a glue bottle. Gah. I feel like by the end of doing all these streams, I'm going to have a compilation of Ashlyn eats something gross because she wasn't paying attention and put something in her mouth. Because I'm so used to grabbing my paintbrushes like that. Let's move these guys out of the way. So I don't have to move quite as far with this. Coated in this glorious clear glue. This is a terrible glue. I haven't used it as a glue, but I've definitely seen its lack of adhesion when using it for other projects. Not a good glue. However, non-toxic, so I'm not gonna die on us for accidentally almost ingesting it. So, I'm good there. And in the glue's defense, it is pretty tasteless. Alright, let's fill in the bits that are a little thin. Okay. I'm not mad at this. It looks goopy. Like I wanted. Question is if it's going to dry properly or if I'm going to have to, like, go back later. But that's a pretty good effect. I'm not mad at that. At the tip, I learned. I remembered. Let's just for the very, very top. Just to make sure it gets enough. Come on. Really? That's all you're gonna do? Okay, there we go. That's some good goopage up there. Alright. Yeah, and it definitely does fall downwards, or gravity affects it. So that is a thing. It's not going to be perfect, but I'll leave it on my little silicone mat for a while. And that should be good. But yeah, that should give that effect. Let's just throw him in there for a second. See how he looks inside. Yeah. That's pretty decent. I'm not mad about that. Okay. Cool. That's project number 1. Progress. Amazing. Look at us. We've accomplished something already. Alright. I feel like this base needs a lot more on it. Let's see what I have. I could throw some things like this around it. These are all a little big. A little bigger than I'd want to necessarily do. Let's see. What do I have? I do have in this little thing of beads. So I try not to burn myself in my glue gun. These kind of look kind of gear-like. That could work. Let's see. At the very least could look like buttons and things. That's not bad. Let's add one in there. Let's put glue down first. Add on the button. I probably should have centered that. If I was smart, I would center it. But I wasn't, so I didn't. Okay, center. There we go. But Script Mechanus, it can be a little wonky. That's okay. No, it's just a bit of flesh left over. Awesome. Alright, I want to incorporate this in. So maybe some more glue it onto the back, maybe? I feel like this part isn't helping me out here. It's a little round peg in the square hole-esque. Do I have anything that'll work with that? I mean, I could add, like, directly like this into there. That could work. I could also cut into this thing, but I don't really want to do any cutting today in that regard. So let's do some more attachments with these. Let's use these off cuttings. Okay. Which means they're also going to need some trimmies. A little shorter. Yeah, that'll work nicely. I like that. I know I've put my hand directly in front of it. But let's here. The nice thing with this, ow, is I can burn myself like that, apparently, is the nice thing. There we go. These little add a little bit of visual interest and a reason for that tank to be there. It's got to come out the other side, because like maybe it cycles between the two sides. Who knows? However, this is not going to be structurally sound enough, so I am going to throw a little hot glue right down the center, just so they stick together. I probably should have done that, ow, on my silicone mat. Particularly so it doesn't seep through. But there we go. All my little spider webs. Alrighty. Ow. I love hot glue, I promise. Injuries are part of the charm, right? If you haven't burned yourself, are you really crafting with hot glue? Yeah. That's a cool little bit right there. Alright. Should I have any more? Ooh, that is definitely oozing out the bottom. Like I thought it might. Will those fit on either? They'll fit on either side. Or it could go this way. Either way. We got options. Let's do this. Have that over there. All right. If you were just joining us in, I'm making some Mechanus terrain. We're working on a. Oh, that was sticky. We're working on a little like cloche specimen jar that's drying over there, and probably will be drying for the rest of the night because I used a just Dollar Tree hot glue, or not hot glue, clear glue on it, and that stuff takes forever to dry. It's kind of a pain like that, and my dog is being needy. She's like, you're not working, therefore feed me. All right, and then we've got these little mounds of flesh and bits that we're gonna start painting up. Got that base coat done. So let's brush. No one judge me for my dirty paint water. It's because the last thing I did was also black. And I'm not always the best about emptying it out. But that's fine. It'll work for what we're doing today. Alright. So my flesh. That's fine. Do I have a good flesh tone that isn't like... Okay, this like linen mixed with maybe some reds in there. I'll start with the linen base and add in just gross goop. Let's give that a shot. If it will come out of the thing. Or I could do pink. I could go more pink flesh. I'm gonna go the pink route. Might do a combination of the two. Might dry brush some of that on top in a bit. But I think I want the base to be this like rosy pink. I think will give me the effect I desire. Close this back up, or don't. Alright, let's see how you look. Yeah. probably take a couple coats of this, but that's okay. Flesh mounds. Just what we all want. Delightful. Alright. Yeah. That plus some like really gross reds. I've got some good, just like bloody flesh colors. So I'm trying to do this with mostly my cheap paints. I don't like using my mini paints on terrain pieces. Just because I usually have to cover such a big space that it's not always worth it to me when I can achieve what I want with a cheap acrylic. And really, even mini painting, you can achieve a lot with a cheap acrylic paint, especially if you thin your paint with some water. I definitely just did cheap acrylics when I was starting out with any mini painting, because that's what I had. Not only were they cheap acrylics, but they were also really awful brushes that I inherited from my mother. Ugh, I got a bunch of that clear glue. See, you can tell that it's just not a good glue because there's almost no stick. Like, comes right on off. Horrible glue. Don't get that. Not worth it for if you are actually gluing things, but works really well for stained glass. So when I do fake stained glass with this, or with the glue, I'll mix it up with alcohol inks and then section out the spaces. And it ends up making a really pretty thing. So I used a old like strawberry basket as my edges. It mostly worked. Did it on top of some packing tape to try and keep it kind of have its own line. Next time I try this, when I do for the stained glass, I'll probably, maybe that'll be something we do here, is setting that up. Because I am going to try and do a crafting stream every Tuesday about this time. Just because it's a bit of time that I'm done with work and I have free. And usually I'm just like playing a game and unwinding a bit, so let's unwind with a little crafting. But next time I'll probably make the frame using like really thin hot glue or something. I don't know. I haven't thoroughly thought it out yet. Oh yeah, this is definitely the correct gross flesh paste look that I'm going for here. I'm not worrying too much if I overpaint, especially in these crevices. I'm going to be covering all of this with a metallic anyway. I'm going back in. I'm not worried too much. Precision painting happens later. Right now we're just color blocking. Overspray's okay. And you know, if a little flesh got on the machinery, that's just character, right? That's just part of it. Yeah, that's the correct pink. Alright. Yeah, this air dry clay is taking the paint really nicely, and it's really light. So I picked up this, it's like a Crayola, I think, air dry clay. I grabbed it at Dollar Tree on a whim. I'm not a clay person usually, so I don't know what possessed me that day to get a few packages of air dry clay, but I did. So I had it, and so that's what I made my little mounds out of. Because originally I was thinking of doing it in making hot glue mounds, but glue is just the worst to paint. Hot glue is such a pain in the booty to try and paint. Oh, right, that's Snow White's head. See, the base black has really helped with hiding the identities of things. All right, last bit for the first coat. And I'm not really bothering to be super careful here. If I paint over, I paint over, and that's okay. I haven't decided if I want the arms to be the same skin tone. I'll probably have it be different, just if not for variety, for just being able to see, oop, that wasn't fully dry. I'll have to go back to that one. Oops. Alright. Well, that guy's all finished. Let's take a look now. Back at our little, whatchamacallit, our little stand here. Let's send you guys over there to the drying section so it actually dries. Let's see about what I want to do more for this, because I feel like it's missing stuff here. I don't know exactly what I want to add in. I could add in like descending flesh grossness like I did over there. Also kind of like it being more mechanical looking. Let's see. My dogs are like, but you're down here and you're not working. It means you're ready to feed us, right? We got 30 minutes until they get fed. Let's see, do I have anything in here? Oh, that was something I kind of wanted to do. I want to add lighting into the bottom, which I probably should have done before attaching all of this stuff. But what I might do is cut some bits, some like holes out of here. Do I want, and make like pinprick sort of things. Maybe, let's see. Or, ooh, that could work. That could work. Okay. This is going to be a trust the process thing. Alright. I really should have done this before I attached this. So, how am I going to do this? Yeah, it'll hang over like that. Okay. So my plan, alright, this is the hear me out, is I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to make the base hot glue, because hot glue will diffuse light a lot better. And then I'm going to put fairy lights underneath, and hopefully that will diffuse through that hot glue. Is the hope. We will see if that ends up being how it works. Again, I'm going to just have to trust the process. Let's grab one of my knives that I should put away better. All right. Do I want the whole thing, or do I want... See, the thing is, if I do the whole thing, I'm more guaranteed to have a pretty perfect a better circle. If I do the inner, the circle won't be as good. But it might also look better having that little edge piece. Let's see. I'm going to start small. You can't uncut. So let's grab a circular thing. let's start about there. Now the question is, do I have a pen? I don't believe that I do. But what I can do is scratch. Let's just go for it. All right. This is the thing, is Ashlyn can't draw a circle. I'm not great at the circle drawing. This is where you'd want, you know, a protractor or artistic ability in that capacity. All right. Or a knife that'll go through the thing would also be helpful. Okay. Because this ain't cutting it. Literally. Let's try the big blade. Hey, Ashlyn, how'd you end up in the hospital? Well, I was trying to cut a hole. A bit of plastic. Like an idiot with a box cutter. Goodness gracious, how freaking thick is this plastic? Gosh darn. Come on. Get in there. Oh, this is gonna go so great. Alright, that's not going how I wanted it to go. Let's see if we go back into this one. Come on, you little asshole. Oh, it's almost through. So I feel like once I get the pilot hole in, it'll be easier. I say, with no reason to back that up. Okay, I got through that first bit. This is where we all just watch Ashlyn pick up assorted blades and become a danger to herself. Okay, we've got No one told my mom. No one rat on me that I'm being unsafe with scissors. And knives and sharp things I have no... But I should not be this cavalier with. Alright, there we go. We're getting somewhere. Oh, it's like a can opener. As I drop my freaking hot glue gun too. Goodness gracious, I'm batting 1,000 right now. Okay. I'm just gonna start sounding like grandfather from Princess Bride as he gets up. It's getting there. We're making progress. Slow and steady wins the race, right? Woo! Alright. If you're just joining in, we got some new friends. Hi! I'm Ashlyn. If you haven't been here before, oh, we're making terrain for Mechanus. So I'm trying to cut a hole in the center of here to make a diffuser for light. Let's see if I cut a hole in this or myself first. Oh, that is tiring. We're getting there. We're getting there. Lighting isn't great that way. Let's throw that like that. There we go. That's a bit better, lighting-wise. Y'all don't need to see my face. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh. This is... We're doing it, guys. Slow and steady. Almost there. Oh. Oh. We got a hole. It's a bit wonky, but it's a hole. See if I can de-wonkify this bit. Because I should always cut towards myself, right? Right, guys? That's a safe thing to do. There we go. Okay. That's better. I'm going to even that out a little bit. And we've got a hole that I definitely am going to need to fill. But we'll support our little guy. So my plan here to fill this, so I'm going to flip this around. We're going to rotate a little bit here so y'all can see this. Flip this around and I'm going to stick it here so that the hot glue will fill right there. Is my plan. So let's give it a shot. So, got the glue, and my trusty silicone mat. Let's give this a go. All right. Let's attach a little bit more around the edges here. Oh, I definitely have this on hot, which is good for what I'm doing right now, but boy, is that a toasty glue gun. Let's stick it back there for now. And throw it to low. All right. This should hold that there. Probably want a little more weight on it, so let's throw paint can on. Let's not do that. Because in theory, this should make a nice flat surface here. Yeah, that'll work. All right. So normally when I'm working with hot glue in a facility, in a way like this, particularly when I use it to like fill molds, quick way to get it to cure really fast is throw it in your freezer. Unfortunately, can't travel this into the freezer. So this one's going to require patience, which is not my strong suit, if you couldn't tell already. Okay, how are these doing paint-wise? All right, this one I think is finally ready for me to finish that top coat of paint. Yes, yes, maybe. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. Let's do our second coats of pink. while we wait for that. Always good to have like a second project going. See, I can grab this one with my teeth. It doesn't have glue all over it. There we go. So, if you came in recently, making some lovely Mechanus flesh piles for corrupted Mechanus. I am planning on doing a lot more streaming in the... Ah! I'm gonna close that blade before I stab myself. Planning on doing a lot more streaming, a lot more crafting streams. But I'm also probably going to do a gaming stream doing a run of Pokemon Too Many Types because I am a millennial and I love Pokemon. I always have, and I love a little chaos. So I'll be streaming crafting content on Tuesdays, and gaming content will be on Thursdays. Don't promise every Tuesday and Thursday, but you know we're gonna do them when we do them. When I have both the spoons and the time. This is usually my time that I have just like home alone, relaxing after work. Oh, I think I fully missed a bit on this guy. Yes, I did. Come back here. Come here, let me flesh. Must give flesh. Yeah, it's usually my kind of chill time after work. So I'm going to spend it here with you guys on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Something I'm also bringing back is the budget build battles. Those will probably also take place on Tuesdays, partly because I will run out of things otherwise to do on stream because I don't craft that often. But those will feature artists. We'll probably do once a month, or one every month. Stream once a month. Grammar's hard, guys. But I'll be bringing in artists from probably around the world, which is super fun. And they'll come and we'll have an hour to create some sort of themed masterpiece using only readily available and no materials, nothing special for crafting. So it's intended to be a budget build. So trash, garbage, things you'd find at dollar stores, that sort of thing. They don't need to go and buy new stuff from those places because that's wasteful. So I've got like a bunch of craft sticks that you can get craft sticks at Dollar Tree, so craft sticks are allowed, or like toothpicks and things like that. That, paint, and glue are always allowed. But they're a super fun challenge, and it's a great way to get to know a bunch of different crafters and creators in the TTRPG space, because we don't see a lot of craft content for TTRPGs on these streams or on Twitch. Yeah, I definitely have to pick whether I want my face lit up or my back. I'm getting old. But yeah, so that's my plan for upcoming here. That still needs time. But I'm going to be hosting people on this channel, bringing them in to talk about what they do, and also challenging them on these crafting challenges. They've been some of my favorite things that I've done as a crafting content creator, and it really helps showcase just what awesome people are in this community. I often lose my own battles, and I learn something every time because everyone brings these new techniques in that I've never seen or used. Everyone's got their own little specialties, so it's really cool to see what they all bring to the table. Gosh, this thing is so runny. It's mostly working. All right. Ignore the dogs. Apologize for the dog scare. Alright, so now that we've got this going, I'm gonna make a couple more of these guys. I like having a bunch on hand. They're great for just like throwing down, especially this like great look. Great. That one there. So let's do that. I'm gonna squish this to the side over here. And this is going to need a bit more mica powder on it. So let's grab one of my cheapy brushes. And let's get that silver pigment powder. These are super easy. I often don't even paint them at all. Sometimes I will, especially like from the base. But a lot of the times you can get away without it. But it does provide a good surface to paint on as well, which is nice. But it's like mold release, which is extra awesome. So I really like this one, and let's do one of these ones too. I feel it can be a really good one to throw in. Dust up one of these as well. We'll see how much glue I have still. I think I have a decent amount. Should be able to do just fine with that. Alright, we've got our mica powder inside there. Now let's grab the glue gun that I turned on low, which is not going to be the ideal temperature for this. So let's start with this guy up here. So I definitely like using the higher heat setting for these because it'll run into those crevices a little bit better. Yeah, I'm probably going to need some additional glue. I'm definitely going to need some additional glue. Alright. And I'm going to grab from my giant roll of hot glue. Oh, cool. That's finished. Glue roll, are you the mini one? You are the mini one. Where's my maxi? Oh, no, is it dead? Is my giant roll of hot glue dead? I need to buy more hot glue. It's okay, I still have some short sticks. That's what I was afraid of. That's alright. I have enough that I'll be able to get this one. That's the size. This is the one that I really wanted. So we get into these little crevices here. There we go. It's okay if it's not perfectly even. It'll usually sort itself out as it kind of mixes in there. Especially if you get a good few taps. And then we let that kind of hang out there. So I'm going to push this to the side. You're working on so many projects at once today. Put that off to the side, and we can grab our little base again. Look at that, we've got our little hot glue center. My idea with this is that if I put lighting under it with just a hole, or if it had like little holes in it, you'd get a lot of like, it wouldn't diffuse very well. But this way, my hope is that, let's just grab a random one. I should have some right in here. I know I had some. I'll just grab one of these for now. But now it should diffuse a little better through. So let's turn off all my extra lights. find the stupid light thing. Yeah, I'll just move away from it. There. But it should diffuse through a little bit better. It's a little hard to see on the camera, but it should give me a better diffusion. So that's the plan. I just throw things all over the place. That's what I do here. Violence. So I should have some tea lights in my collection over here. And let's see if I can make it fit. Tea lights, tea lights. Or not tea lights, fairy lights. That's what I'm looking for. I know I put some down here recently. And before you come at me and say, Ashlyn, you should organize your stuff, I'm going to say, I know. Ooh! Ooh! Haha! Yes, Ashlyn should organize her stuff, because she's got cool things that she could totally use for this. Awesome. Amazing. Oh, that doesn't even have any batteries. For those interested in the chaos, I really should organize. But I haven't. I know that I have fairy lights that have batteries in them. I just don't know if I put them down here. Oh well, I know it'll work. So that is a later Ashlyn problem that later Ashlyn will solve. Now Ashlyn is going to do a little bit more decorating. We're going to wrap up in just a bit here. But I've got this here. It's fine. I must have waited until I took it out to explode everywhere. Alright, let's add some of these. These are cool. I like these. Ooh, this is kind of like a crank wheel. I like it in, I like that one. That one's nice. They can like add it down here, kind of elevate out. So it's got its own little like crankshaft. So let's grab, ooh, I have one of these. Not that. I do have this piece. That could be useful. Oh, it's bendy. But I think I'm gonna go tried and true. Toothpick. Just need a little nubby. Touch it right there. That's a little too big. Yeah, that works. Okay, this is where Ashlyn burns herself. Now, did I put that too low? I did not. That does still fit. Cool. This reminds me in like Baldur's Gate when you have to open up all those valves to get in like the sewers. It's that sort of vibe. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, it's just elevated enough. Yeah. Is that actually good mini size? I feel like that's short. There's a mini. I usually have a mini around here for size. Usually about yay tall. That's a little short. Let's put that a little bit higher. Go. Straighter. Ah! I looked to the side and I ruined everything. There. Yeah. That'll do. Yeah. Alright. And then maybe just like a couple more. Do something up top here. Gonna coincide with anything? No. That doesn't work. But maybe. Yeah, I have this random little piece here. It's a nice little addition. For a spike. Because who doesn't need a spike on top of their random machine? Alright. Do kind of like the idea of having that there. But I think I'll wait on that. Okay. Alright. Well, these are for our last thing. Because this is going to need to, that's going to need to dry over there before I can do any of that painting. And most of this is going to be spray paint anyway. Alright, the last thing. These feel like they're pretty good. Should be able to pop them out of their molds. And boom. They're still a little molten in the center, but not terribly so. Definitely need to wipe them off, but got little bits. Definitely still a little warm. This mold's always a little bit trickier. But boom, I've got more scatter pieces that I can throw down on the ground, make it look a little bit easier. So that I think is gonna wrap us up for today. I'm going to be streaming more things a little more regularly. I'll be back on Thursday, starting off that run of Pokemon Too Many Types. If you are new around here, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe if you're feeling extra nice. But you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at DollarStoreDM. I am the same thing in all the places. But thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a lovely Tuesday.